In Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, there are many annoying enemies that shouldn't return in its sequel, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Some foes such as bokoblins and moblins have already been revealed in past trailers, but certain others have been thankfully absent so far. TOTK is set to release on May 12th of next year, leaving plenty of time for more trailers that may reveal how many of BOTW's obnoxious enemies are in its open world when it comes out. There are many different kinds of enemies in BOTW, almost all of which serve Calamity Ganon. The main ones are bokoblins, moblins, chuchas, octoroks, lizalfos, wizrubs, and peblets, in addition to some humanoid enemies like the members of the Yuga clan. There are also stronger enemies that act as mini-bosses, such as Lynels, Hinox, Talus, and Molduga. All of them vary in strength and rarity, and BOTW's Master Mode DLC added a few new variants that can't be found in the main game. When Link vanquishes them, they drop useful items and materials that he can use to upgrade his armor, but once the blood moon rises, they will return to menace him once again. Certain enemies can be more annoying than most for a few different reasons. BOTW's most obnoxious enemies might not be powerful, but they usually have mechanics that make them difficult to deal with, and the items they drop typically aren't worth the effort. Thankfully, most of them are rare, so players may not encounter them on a regular basis. It's unknown whether any of them will return in TOTK at the moment, and some of them likely will if only because of their prevalence within BOTW, but hopefully they'll change to be at least somewhat less annoying if so. Treasure Octoroks are possibly BOTW's most annoying enemies. Zelda TOTK doesn't need the Treasure Octorok is a special variant of the normal Octoroks, one that buries itself in the ground and has a fake treasure chest on its head instead of a bush or a rock. If Link approaches it, it leaps out at him and proceeds to run around at great speed and may bury itself back in the ground after some time. The chests on BOTW's Treasure Octoroks are impossible to move using magnesis, which is a good way to distinguish them from normal ones. If this chest is struck from a distance, the Octorok will pop out and leave itself vulnerable to an attack from an arrow or remote bomb. When defeated, they drop a number of rupees in addition to the normal Octorok loot. Treasure Octoroks may be BOTW's most annoying enemy, and for good reason. If players aren't careful when approaching a buried chest, then they might end up fighting an enemy instead of getting treasure. This is irksome enough by itself, but the initial attack by the Octorok also sends them flying backwards, which is severely annoying and can even spell doom if they're near a high ledge, leaving BOTW players regretting their decision to not do a quick check with the Magnesis rune. In addition, the Treasure Octorok is very fast and hard to hit, making it not a challenging foe, but certainly a difficult and obnoxious one. They might not be as bad if they were at least good way to farm rupees, but the amount they drop is negligible and not worth the effort of seeking them out repeatedly. Wizrubs are some of the most annoying enemies in Zelda. Breath of the Wild Wizrubs are a group of 6 different enemies in BOTW. There are 3 base forms, each wielding one of 3 elements: fire, ice, or thunder. There are also 3 advanced forms, which are stronger and have more health. While these advanced forms are fairly uncommon, Wizrubs as a whole aren't BOTW's rarest or hardest to find enemies and have reliable spawn points like most every foe. Like most elemental enemies, the fire and ice Wizrubs can be defeated in one hit with an attack carrying their opposing element, but the thunder varieties have no such weakness. When they're defeated, both the base and advanced forms drop their weapons, ones that can shoot their respective elements when used. There are a few different reasons why Wizrubs are annoying. Firstly, they almost always float in the air, making them difficult to hit with melee attacks unless players can hit their weak points and knock them to the ground. They also have a habit of disappearing and forcing players to wait while they move to a new position. There's also the matter of their elemental powers, which can freeze, burn, or electrocute Link and prevent him from performing any of the attack combos that BOTW's combat system permits. The advanced versions are even more annoying since they can alter the weather and summon Chuchas to run interference. The most annoying out of all of them, however, are the electric variants, since they cannot be destroyed in one hit like the other two, and because their attacks make Link drop his gear unless he has protective effects active. BOTW's Pebblets aren't worth the trouble and shouldn't come to Zelda. TOTK Pebblets are smaller versions of one of BOTW's mini-boss monsters, the Talus. Pebblets come in a few different varieties depending on where they are located. Igneo Pebblets can be found in volcanic regions such as Eldin, Frost Pebblets reside in snowy areas such as the Hebra Mountains, and Stone Pebblets are found throughout Hyrule. Each one will drop one piece of ore when defeated, with each variety providing different kinds. Although it might seem like defeating BOTW's Pebblets is hard work given only a few select weapons can do any damage to them, players can kill them very easily by simply picking them up and throwing them, or by using a remote bomb or bomb arrow. Pebblets may not be the worst enemies to fight in BOTW, but they're still rather annoying and shouldn't show up in Tears of the Kingdom. Part of the reason is that their attacks knock Link down when they land, and Igneo and Frost varieties will also burn or freeze him, respectively. They also typically come in groups of 3, and while it's easy to defeat them by throwing them, Link moves very slowly while holding a Pebblet, so one of them can easily get a hit in while he's taking care of the others. Perhaps the most obnoxious aspect, however, is that Link needs BOTW's special armor with fire immunity to pick up an Igneo Pebblet without being burned, and ice immunity to touch a frost without freezing. Both of these only grant full immunity with a complete set that's been upgraded repeatedly, meaning that a great amount of work and item farming is required to make Igneo and Frost Pebblets unproblematic. Using fire or ice arrows on them can negate their elemental effects, but these are highly valuable and not worth using on such minor enemies. Overall, Pebblets are a nuisance that Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom does not need, and hopefully it won't have them or any of BOTW's other annoying enemies.